Today's episode is brought to you by Mazars.
SoundCartel.
From SoundCartel, I'm Nicole Goodman, and this is Business Essentials Daily. At the age of 24, Cameron Schwab was the youngest CEO of an AFL club. Heavy responsibilities and big shoes to fill. His father, Alan, was a legendary AFL administrator. For most of the next 25 years, Cameron was a CEO of Richmond, Melbourne and Fremantle football clubs. It was during this quarter century of unprecedented change in the competition that Cameron faced some of the sport's most difficult challenges, all under the spotlight of the mass media. Today, Cameron is a CEO again, but this time of his own business called designCEO, which takes business leaders to even greater levels of performance. One thing he learned from his early days in footy as a recruiter was the ability to recognise potential talent in players. Chris Ashmore asks Cameron how business leaders too can spot the signs of a peak performer.
If you're a learner, you've displayed it at some point. It's what the eye can't see. You have to dig a little bit deeper. If you want to recruit people without digging deep, well, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to make mistakes even when you dig deep. So why would you take that chance? And aptitude will come out in conversations. It'll come out in discussions with schools, headmasters, teachers, parents, family structure. You know, you'll find it's there. And I can't think of too many great players in the game who haven't been people who were prepared to take responsibility for their own development at some point. It might take them a while to work that out for the penny to drop, but they get there at some stage.
There are so many comparisons between elite sport and business, but they have different ways to measure success when it comes to business as opposed to sport. Would that be fair to say?
The difference, I think, I find between business and sport is that the conversations in and around sport are always about your talent and always about your teaching. They're always about, have we got the right talent and are we coaching them well? And the team aspect of it is then an outcome of those two things. We then focus on the team stuff come match day, of course. But I find that in business, they're more wanting to get the team thing without the focus on the talent and the teaching. I don't find many CEOs, for instance, who go deep on their talent acquisition or on their talent retention or their talent development because it's actually hard work and you're going to get it wrong a lot. And I don't find many CEOs who are prepared to give the benefit of their own learning by being very proactive in teaching and coaching. And in the end, I think they're probably the most fun areas, but you know, it's very easy to get caught up in the busyness of leadership and not make time for those two things. Whereas in sport, it's unarguable. You know, we're onto that all the time. There's not a day goes past where you haven't spent a significant proportion of it talking about your talent, talking about your coaching and your teaching. And I think if there's one thing I could say business can learn from sport, it would be that. Stop talking, start teaching.
You're also a big believer in setting time aside to reflect.
Yeah. Again, to try and overcome the busyness, I've used this saying a lot. I'm not sure where I actually picked it up from, that the term is busy is the new lazy. You know, that basically there's so much in and around our lives that we can fill them with. And if you've got your inbox open all day, well, that's going to do it for you anyway. The number one competency I think we can establish and develop is actually one of a reflective competency. How do we know and understand where we're at, given the chances are what's happening in our world is changing, and we're changing? The recommendation I make is that you set aside 3 hours every 3 months for 3 questions. And the first of the questions are, what does this role expect of me? You know, a really clear look at, are you sure what the role expects of you? And if you're a CEO and you're reporting to a board, have you had that conversation with the board? And if you've got people who are looking to you for leadership, have you had that same conversation with them? And the second one is, what do you expect of the role? Because it will change. You know, you will change. That if the role isn't for you what you signed up for, and you keep going down that track because of the pressures of the mortgage or the pressure of the school fees or whatever it might be, and you're losing a piece of you each day as you walk into the door, well, that's a very bad thing for you. And the final one is, what do you expect of yourself? And I think this is almost the most important question, because if your job is costing you your well-being, if your job is costing you your health, if it's costing you your relationships, if it's costing you something in your life that you are very passionate about, well, perhaps you need to change it. And a lot of our careers are built on a feeling of momentum. And certainly mine was. I know that the next job, the next opportunity, and you're a bit terrified if something changes on you. But if you just allow yourself those 3 hours, and each time you do it, you can't look at the last time you did it. You have to do it afresh every time. Because if you just look at the last time, you'll just add and subtract. But it needs to be where your head's at that stage.
Well, finally, Cameron, for anyone in business who might be struggling to grow or to achieve their goals, what would you suggest?
Stop, just for a while. What are my goals? What are we trying to achieve here? Are the goals the ones that are really for us, or have they been some mountain that we thought we had to climb, and then when we started to climb it, we weren't sure that we'd like the view anyway? And often to take yourself into worlds which are so different to the one that you're in. And it doesn't necessarily, I'm not talking about living on an island somewhere. It's changing a few things which just give you a much more deliberate take on life. Because generally our problems aren't nearly as bad as what we thought they were. They can seem very much overwhelming, and in the moment they are. But rarely are they the things that you reflect on 5 years down the track. What you reflect on is that when you did go a little bit deeper, you did find a solution and you changed things and things worked out for you. And so my take is that you just have to manage your own momentum. Don't allow just the sense of overwhelm to dictate how you fill your day. The one thing about being a leader is you actually have more control over that than people think. And I'm almost embarrassed to say that I spent 25 years as a CEO, and I could say there were days I went into work and I knew I could get through that day and do nothing if I wanted to, because no one was ringing and checking up on me so much. But there were the days where you then thought, well, this is a wonderful opportunity. Can I have another look at this? Can I see this from a different angle? Motivation builds on a sense of progress in some shape or form. And when we feel like we're not progressing at any level, that's when we become really quite disheartened. So how do you actually give yourself the chance to progress in a meaningful way? And I think if you feel that personally, well, you're on track again.
That was Cameron Schwab, CEO of designCEO. This episode of Business Essentials Daily is produced by the team at SoundCartel. Thanks for listening. I'm Nicole Goodman. We'll bring you more Be Daily tomorrow. Follow @BE Daily Podcast across social media and head to bedaily.com.au for more from the Business Essentials Daily podcast. SoundCartel. This episode was brought to you by Mazars. To find out more, visit mazars.com.au. That's mazars.com.au.